Hello, everyone. As you all know, my cousin Denisha Williams was shot and killed by her baby father on September 3rd of 2022. And as I updated you all, he was released on bond in December of 2020, just 3 months after he killed my cousin. I learned that in the state of Georgia, if a person isn't indicted within 90 days, that the state must grant them a bond. Why his bond was so low at $200K is beyond me. Premeditated murder should have had a minimum of a $1 million bond. He was released without even an ankle monitor, and he's not supposed to leave the state of Georgia. What's more disgusting is that on Christmas, while Denisha's kids were missing their mother, he was taking pictures with his ugly girlfriend named Tyronda Walker. Take a look at this Christmas photo of them. I saw the same picture that you just saw. And yes, I am disgusted. I find it absolutely pathetic that a woman, especially a mother, would be taking holiday family pictures with a man who is out on bond for shooting and killing the mother of his child. However, let me point out a bigger picture to you and explain to you why we will first have to fix all of the problems that are boiling up inside of this community, the Black community. We have to fix all of the problems that are boiling within, that we love to close the door on, sweep under the rug. Yes, we're gonna have to talk about all those uncomfortable things that Black people prefer not to talk about. I'm gonna call out a lot of names, and I'm gonna put a lot of people on blast right now. And I used to care, but I no longer give a fuck. So before I get on my family, I'm gonna talk about R. Kelly, for instance. When he was arrested, half of the Black people in the world blamed the kids, saying that the girls were fast, when in reality, there is no such thing as a child being fast enough to catch the attention of any man that's not attracted to kids. Hands down, R. Kelly had to be attracted to kids in order for those kids to be fast enough to get his attention. So that's one thing. Black people wanted to defend R. Kelly, saying the girls are fast. Bill Cosby, again, Black people wanted to say, oh, why they waited so long to talk? Or the other infamous whataboutism that Black people do all the time. Every time there's a Black person in the hot seat, guess what Black people do? What about the white people who do it? What about that white man? What about him? What about that? Want to talk about everything except the Black person at hand. It does not matter who did what. Rape is rape. Pedophilia is pedophilia. Murder is murder. As long as Black people are rallying behind these pathetic crimes every time they are committed by a Black person, you're going to always have people like that girl, stupid enough to undermine the significance of a crime. Why? Because she's been brainwashed into thinking it's okay when a Black person does it. So, like I said, in this Black community, we are going to have to fix that before we even expect people like her to change. You are sending out the wrong message. When you defend R. Kelly, when you defend Bill Cosby, when you defend any Black person who is clearly wrong, completely wrong, and blame the victims and shit like that, you are sending a message that because they are Black, it's okay to do it. So when a Black man shoots down his baby mama, guess what? In her mind, because he's Black, it was okay. It's only a problem when a white person does it. Black people want to burn down buildings. You want to protest and talk about how Black lives matter when it's George Zimmerman or any non-Black person. Yet, when it's a Black person, what about the white people who do it? Even the Black man who shot, I think it was 9 people, when the cops surrounded and there was a standoff, then the cops ended up killing him. Even he had supporters. People were saying if he was white, they wouldn't have killed him. I mean, this guy had literally killed, I think, 9 people. Who gives a fuck on whether he lives or dies? What you want, a mass murderers lives matter rally? You go from Black Lives Matter to this black man who killed 9 people mattered. And then you wonder why. You wonder why you have people like this girl in a relationship with a known murderer. Yeah, you send out a bad message when you do that. When you defend, rally on, and undermine the significance of crimes committed by black people, this is exactly what you do. If I walk out my house right now and go shoot somebody in their head, guess what? I still did that. It doesn't matter what a white person did and got away with. It doesn't matter that slavery happened. And speaking of slavery, a lot of black people like to say black people alive today are suffering due to what happened during slavery hundreds of years ago, right? But those same black people do not feel bad for victims who are alive today, who suffered actual things. Not their ancestors suffering hundreds of years ago, but we're talking about people alive and struggling today because they were molested when they were little. You don't feel sorry for them. You say they need to get over it, forgive, move on, those things like that. And especially if the culprit was black, especially if the culprit was someone in your family. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense to be so fake pro-black where you want to rally on and talk about how George Zimmerman being found not guilty was the biggest injustice, when in reality, if you are in my family, the biggest injustice is Vincent. Yeah. What Vincent did was far worse than anything that George Zimmerman ever did. Vincent molesting 80 billion kids. All of George Zimmerman's crimes put together don't even amount to what Vincent did. But how do you feel about Vincent? Exactly. Quiet as a mouse. You don't want him arrested. You don't want him sued. You don't want, not even a lawsuit filed against him. But yet you talk about injustice. When there's another injustice and the culprit is not black, you talk about how Black Lives Matter. You're so outspoken on those cases. And those are the biggest injustices. You sure? You sure the biggest injustice you know is not Vincent, who raped 80 billion fucking kids and killed some women and never spent a day in jail? Yeah. So this woman is disgusting for being in a relationship with Jaquaz, or however his name is pronounced. But technically speaking, if you're in my family, you don't have the right to even talk. You don't have the right to say that that's disgusting, because guess what? You don't have a problem with Vincent. And speaking of undermining the significance of what people do and making people think what they did is okay, Vincent's own victims were tricked into believing that what they went through was okay. How is it that Vincent touched a lot of y'all coochies when y'all was little, but y'all still deal with him? When he was having those parties at the Top House, y'all used to go faithfully. Every party he had, y'all were the first people there. But he touched y'all coochies when y'all was little. You know what that means? Y'all were tricked into thinking it was okay for him to touch y'all coochie when y'all were little. Of course, if your mother allowed it, then yeah, you're going to be brainwashed into thinking. Of course, if people knew about it and they were perfectly fine, they still dealt with this man and everything, they knew all about it and they were okay with it. It tricked you into thinking it was okay. So you know where I'm going at it, right? This is what I mean about this girl in this relationship with Jaquaz. Point is, in the black community, we got to literally start holding people accountable and responsible for the things they do. Until you do that, you're going to always have people who are brainwashed and tricked into thinking that crimes committed by black people are okay. That they didn't even break the law. It wasn't that serious. They're going to undermine the significance of what happened. How do you undermine the significance of Vincent touching kids' coochies? Please explain that. You can't. And you will never get on the mic and admit that you know that shit either. You're always going to pretend like I'm crazy and I'm evil and all that stuff. I'm so glad that Kim, Margie's sister, admitted on her deathbed in front of other people. Who was the first one that said Vincent touched them? I'm not going to name her, but yeah, just so you know, I know that Vincent touched your coochie because Kim said it on her deathbed. Our cousin Pat was right in the room and she heard it her damn self. Our other cousin Henry Bowleg was in the room. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Brina was in the room too. Point is, there were other people in the room when Kim said on her deathbed who was actually Vincent's first victim, which let me know that long time ago, they already knew that Vincent was molesting kids. They all swept it under the rug. They all pretended like it was nothing. They all just undermined it. And look what it caused. It caused Vincent's victims to literally turn into adults who still interact with him, still talk to him, still show up to his parties, still act like he's okay. And then go and treat his victim who chose to speak out like the victim was doing something wrong. Yeah, you molested by this man yourself. you treat another one of his victims like they did something wrong. Just make it make sense. Make it make sense being a black person who says Black Lives Matter or stop with the injustice, no justice, no peace. But then you turn around and you defend or you treat a victim like they are wrong. So until the black community start holding people responsible and accountable, instead of blaming and shaming victims and rallying behind defending sick people and sick actions, you're always going to have these people who turn around and clap hands with the men who molested them when they were little. There's no reason in the world as to why my cousins should be dealing with Vincent or still showing up to his parties. I don't know if he holds parties anymore, but yeah, just a few years ago when he was having parties at the Top House, my cousins used to go faithfully, but he touched their coochie when they was little. Just like this girl in a relationship with Jaquez. She was tricked into thinking it was okay because he's black. Moving on. I don't even want to claim this bitch as my cousin, to be honest with you, because she's disgusting and I don't like this shit. But another one who is commenting on Denisha's mother's post about Jaquez and talking about the injustice. Her daddy molested her and then he molested her kids as well. She never called the police at all. But oh, Jaquez is such an injustice, right? Jaquez getting released on bond even though it is an injustice. Your father molested you and your kids and you didn't even press charges. You never called the police. That was an injustice. See what I mean? I really hope you guys get my point. The point is, you gotta start holding people responsible in the black community when things happen. If you do not, you really send a message to people that it's okay for black people to do stuff. If the only time you're going to complain, rally, protest, and be mad is when it's a non-black person doing it. George Zimmerman isn't the biggest injustice you've ever heard of. No, all those black pedophiles in your family who you are quiet about, you don't run your mouth about, you don't talk about, you don't say out loud, you just go and treat their victims like they did something wrong. Yeah, those are the real injustices. Those are the real problems in the black community. Y'all have people actually grow up with sleeping disorders, mental disorders, all type of disorders because of shit that happened in their childhood, and you don't feel sorry for them at all. Yet, oh, you feel sorry for black people who were not even alive 500 years ago when slavery happened. Make it make sense. And that's why I repeatedly make it known to everyone as often as I can. I don't want a funeral held for me. I don't want an obituary written for me. I don't want anyone telling anyone in my family that they're sorry for their loss. I don't have a sister. I don't have a brother. I don't have a cousin. I damn sure don't have no ugly ass aunties. I don't have no uncles. I don't have no family. Please remember that when it's my turn to go, because I don't want to have no fake ass people pouring out love and all type of shit. Everybody I know who died suddenly got a whole bunch of loved ones that I didn't even know existed when they were alive. So when it's me, remember I said it. I don't want a funeral held. I don't want an obituary written. Because them hoes will really sit up there and put Vincent's name in my obituary, making it seem like, oh, that was it. No. Y'all put him on a pedestal in y'all own lives. Don't put him on a pedestal in my life or my death. And speaking of, another thing is this. When you undermine the significance of the pain someone else is feeling, you got to be extremely careful. You know why? Because life has a tricky way of bringing it back to you in a very, very ugly form. Vincent's biggest supporter was one of the victims named Keisha. Again, she was tricked into believing that what happened was okay. She still dealt with this man. She still had his back 100%. She defended him to the ground. Life brought that back to Keisha when she found her baby dead one day. Yep. Her son, he was, I think, 9 months old. She found him dead. That was life bringing it back to her. That Vincent did a lot of shit that she ignored, that she swept under the rug, that she wanted victims to forgive and forget about. It doesn't work like that. A human brain is not a car. You cannot damage and wreck a human brain and expect it to just be fixed and put a bandage over it and move on. So, my message to y'all, with kids, be careful what you think is okay to happen in somebody else's life. Life can get real ugly. If you don't have kids, guess what? You can have kids one day and you can find them dead. Just be careful. So, this woman who is in a relationship with Jaquez, I hate to wish death on her kids, but she's going to be shown exactly why she should have been lovey-dovey with him on Christmas Day after he killed my cousin. Trust and believe there's going to be a day when you're going to see her heart broken like a motherfucker because one of her kids don't pass away. And I'm not talking about passing away when they're grown like how Denisha did. See, at least Denisha got to live almost 30 years. Her mama got to fully raise her and get to know her grandkids and everything. It's gonna hurt like hell when your child died as a child, not as an adult. That's gonna hurt like hell. Little ugly ass girl in that picture with Jaquez, she gonna lose them kids. She gonna lose one of them kids while they are kids. Same thing with Vincent's daughter named Katie Ann. Let me tell you about this stupid hoe. She was molested for years by her mother's boyfriend, who is her sister's daddy, right? So yeah, she's a victim of molestation. But of course, if you told your mama about a molestation and she stayed with the dude who did it, of course it's gonna make you think it was okay. So she think it's okay to her daddy molest kids. She know that Vincent is a pedophile, and even though she is a mother herself and a victim of child molestation, she still thinks that what Vincent does to kids is okay. She is still perfectly well, fully aware of everything her daddy ever did, and still got his back, still defending it. That's black people for you. Just like Keisha found her baby dad, that bitch Katie Ann got something coming for her. So I know I went completely off topic, but I had to explain R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, the black man who shot 9 people and was killed by the police, as well as Vincent in my family, as well as my other cousin whose father molested her and then molested her daughters. I had to explain all of that to give you guys an idea of what I mean. Black people gotta stop rallying on bad behavior when it's committed by black people or when it's committed by people we know. You gotta stop doing it. So even though I see the same picture that you see, when you see Jaquez in a picture with this lady, unlike y'all, I have the right to be upset because I don't rally on when it's R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, when it's Vincent, when it's anybody. Nobody in the world is going to be defended by me after molesting any kids, raping any women, killing anyone. I'm not going to rally on any of that shit. Most black people will defend and swear to hell that something is wrong with the victim, even when they know good and goddamn well what the black culprit did. This woman is simply a brainwashed person who has been tricked into believing that what a black person does is okay. Black on black crime is the highest crime rate by far, but black people only care when it's a non-black person who is committing the crime. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. Really, until accountability and responsibility comes from within, the problems boiling within are gonna remain there. You're always gonna have people like my cousins dealing with people who molested them when they were little, dealing with people who killed 1 million women, or people like that stupid bitch in that picture in a relationship with a murderer. How pathetic can you be? There is not a piece of loneliness nor desperation on earth that would have me laying up with a murderer. That's just not man. If I know that a man even did that, you can trust and believe I would be. You know what? Let me shut up before I plan a murder out loud. You ugly ass girl in the picture with him, you got it coming for you too. Trust me. And I'm gonna laugh in your face when one of your kids die. Remember I said it. But back to Jaquez and this ugly, whatever you want to call her, Taronda Walker. After Googling her name, I'm not exactly surprised. Apparently, she shot someone in the foot last year. So, hey, what are the odds of not only being a black person brainwashed into thinking black crime is okay, but you yourself are a criminal who shot someone as is? So, they are actually 2 peas in a pod. They were made for each other. Okay, and on that note, I will end my video right there.